In today's episode, I want to talk about chicks. Not those kind of chicks, but meat bird chicks. Actually, more so about brooders and what it's been like raising them in my backyard with the brooders that I've had to use compared to here at the farm. And you might be surprised to find that bigger isn't always better. My name is Michael, and this year I am taking the lead from raising a few meat birds by myself in my own backyard to benefit me, to seeing if I can raise over 600 meat birds at our family farm where I work and turn it into a business to help benefit our nonprofit. And if that's not enough, I plan to film the whole process and try and turn it into a weekly series here on YouTube. Now, if you've ever ordered chicks before, then you know what I'm talking about here. One of my favorite parts of raising chickens of any kind is when you first get them. Most people go to the local co-op around this time of year and pick up their baby chicks. But for us, over the last few years, we get them in the mail. The post office calls around 6 in the morning to tell you that your chicks have arrived.
Post office.
Hey man.
We have some baby birds for you.
You can hear them in the
awesome.
background as the postmaster gives you a few instructions.
If you can get here before 8, you can just come around to the back dock and we'll get them scanned out to you.
Day one.
Usually, you get special access to the post office. At least at our little post office you do. You load them up. There is no going back now, y'all. And listen to them chirp all the way home. In August of 2021, Hannah and I got our first round of meat birds in the mail. The ID said U.S. government. I said, oh Lord, I'm in trouble. And it was pretty stinking neat. What I did at the time for a brooder was borrow a big water trough from Mom and Dad and put it on our back porch so I could keep a close eye on them. I got a heat lamp, a small waterer, small feeders, pine shavings, and I fashioned together a cover for the trough with some scrap wood and wire mesh fencing to help keep them in and keep potential predators out. All right, y'all. Yay! Hi, how are you? We did several versions of this over the next few years, almost always on our back porch.
What you think about them chickens?
Our small water trough brooder would only really hold about 20 chicks at a time, so eventually we ended up borrowing a second water trough that was deeper so we could do more chicks at once. Last year, my sister and I did 100 meat birds together, and I knew that keeping all of them at my house would be impossible. These tartar tubs are great for putting chickens in. I've had these guys a week maybe, and they're already trying to jump out. These tall ones are the way to go. Now, of course, I borrowed these from Mom and Dad, and they were giving them back. So I thought, what if I take this lid off, wood around it, put something down, let them get to age in there. I even ended up making a third brooder out of a workbench I was in the middle of building for myself in order to keep as many of the birds at my house as I could. But it wasn't enough. 20, 40, 60. So we asked Uncle Rory if it would be okay if we raised a few of the chicks in the schoolhouse
These
brooder.
guys over to Hardison Mill Farm.
And that was the first time I experienced using the brooder I'm using now. So as you can see, we're here at the farm, and it was awesome.
You coming to see your chickens? Are you so excited?
Yes. Oh my goodness, they're getting so big.
Going from a small water trough to a big shed that had been converted into a brooder was kind of like moving your family from a camper to a mansion.
Right, let's see what we got. Hello.
Now here's the catch. When Megan and I raised those chickens in here last year, we only raised about 40 of them. Now about 6 weeks ago, we got our first batch of 100 meat birds, and that's a lot more than 40. But I wasn't worried because we weren't doing them in water troughs. And everything was fine until they hit about 2 weeks old, and I could tell I was doing something wrong. And they are a mess. One thing I've been dealing with here, I really feel like I probably need to put half of them on this other side, because 100 in this one spot's not near enough. You can tell it's way too ate up with poop. The smell started to become overwhelming. Now at the time, I started them all off on one side, assuming I could keep this side fresh. And when I got the new batch in, I'd put them over there, clean this side out, and I could just rotate it. But I realized pretty quickly that wasn't gonna work, because not only were they smelling horrible, but they were trampling each other and killing each other. And that doesn't look too bad. And that meant double the feeders, double the waterers, and double the shavings, which I didn't really budget for. So, it's a little bit of a fix. I think that's gonna be a million times better. I'll know next time, 50 and 50. I'd also ordered them a little early in the season before the last frost, so I had to keep them in here longer than I had planned. Good. Going to grass soon. Which made things even worse because after they hit that 2 week mark, it seemed like they were just doubling in size every day. Stinking worse, pooping like crazy. Like I couldn't keep the shavings in here fast enough. I was even trying to scoop some out while they were still in here, add new. Every day I was adding shavings and I just couldn't keep the smell down. Good morning, good morning. Finally, they got to a point where I felt comfortable. They had enough feathers, I could get them out on grass. But the damage was done. So one issue I'm facing right away is the brooder is not ready. It's been pouring rain here for the last week. Between all of the editing and stuff going on here on the farm, keeping up with the 100 I already have, I haven't had a chance to get back to the brooder and get all the shavings cleaned out and get it ready. One thing I've been learning with the brooder is it's actually barely good enough for 100 birds. Between eating and pooping and whatnot, the maintenance. So I need to completely clean out all of the shavings that are in there and start fresh. But I wasn't ready. And of course, like it always goes, to make things worse, I was only a week away from getting this next batch of chicks. And we just got so much going on. We're so busy. I wasn't able to get this ready for them. So they called at 5:30 this morning. I went ahead and went and got them. So when the phone call came in from the post office at 6 a.m. letting me know that the chicks had showed up, I called my trusty buddy Zach. My buddy Zach, he's one of the farm hands here on the farm. He's a great guy, great guy. He's got a heart for the ministry field. He wants to eventually get into it more. I called him at 6 o'clock, let him know. Basically what I learned pretty quick was it didn't really matter so much that I had upscaled to this huge brooder when I'd also upscaled the amount of chickens. that I was raising. Try to get some new shavings down so that I can get these guys out of these shipping boxes and get some food and water in them as soon as possible. So here we go. Good morning. Welcome to the chicken business. Zach's here.
What's going on?
100 more. We're doing this thing.
What?
To do the best thing in the whole wide world. Man, goodness. Oh, they all made it. Oh no, we lost a few. I might be able to stuff these guys on one side.
Quite a bit on this one.
But that'll get much worse the hotter it gets. But one thing, McMurray Hatchery is great about replacing them, working with you. No worries. 15, 16. Man, you're a lifesaver.
Anytime.
We're in the chicken ministry.
We're in the chicken ministry.
We ought to come up with a good tagline like saving souls for supper.
Yeah.
Alright, we got them fed and watered, got some heat going on. Now we got to figure out what to do with all of that. And it's pouring rain again. In some ways, doing 20 chicks in a water trough isn't much different than doing 100 chicks in this shed that's been converted into a brooder. You're still going to run into lots of problems. But I did have another plan in mind. Even though our family restaurant had sadly closed down after 17 years of feeding folks, I realized there was a small piece of it that I might be able to repurpose. There was an Amish barn we bought about 5 years ago that needed a new home. It's twice the size of the schoolhouse brooder, and I thought maybe I could use it to continue doing that same thing of feeding people, just a little different. Thank you so much for watching.